Hi everyone, this is Jill Crane. Today we're talking about models and exemplars in a virtual learning environment. Today I'm going to share with you some specific examples of models and exemplars and how they look and sound in a virtual learning space. Our objectives today are to see how teachers are engaging students and modeling success in virtual instruction, and understand what it looks like to use models and examples effectively in a virtual learning space. During this session, I want you to consider the following question. Currently, how do I effectively utilize teacher modeling and visual examples in a virtual learning space? And throughout this session, I want you to consider how might you enhance your current teaching practices to include models and exemplars in virtual teaching. Let's start with the what. What are models and exemplars? Modeling is simply a twofold process that includes demonstrating a desired skill or behavior while also describing the actions and decisions being made in the moment. It helps students understand what they're supposed to be doing. It helps to make the invisible visible for students. It also helps to define success. Exemplars. These are simply tools or examples that guide students and show them what their teacher values most and is looking for in their work. It's an example that illustrates quality and it shows one model of success. Now that we know the what, let's talk about the reasons why models and exemplars are important in virtual learning. Number one, they ensure timely feedback to students. They increase student engagement. 3, they improve student performance. And 4, communicate criteria and standards clearly for students. Let's stop for a moment and think about the following question. If we don't provide models, exemplars, and examples in virtual learning experiences, how might students be impacted? You can stop the video for a moment and jot your thoughts, and then return at any time. If we don't provide models, exemplars, and examples in virtual learning experiences for students, students won't know exactly what we're looking for to be successful in the learning and therefore may not be successful in mastering the standard. That takes us to our focus for today. In the NIET Teaching Standards rubric, our focus today is in the indicator, presenting instructional content, honing in on 2 descriptors, modeling performance expectations, and examples, illustrations, analogies, and labels for new concepts and ideas. So what does the use of models and exemplars look and sound like in a virtual learning environment? There are 3 ways or 3 big ideas in how to visually present content for student success. Number 1, purposeful modeling. Number 2, providing exemplars. And number 3, communicating success criteria. All 3 are very critical to student learning and success. I'm going to share with you some specific examples of those 3 big ideas, starting with modeling. In order to provide purposeful modeling, in this asynchronous classroom example of a virtual learning experience, the teacher made a video where she narrated her thinking and how to summarize events from text that was read into a flowchart. Let's see how she set up the assignment.
Secondly, We know that Mama taught Tiger how to read when she was little, even though Mama is a bit slow. But now, because Tiger's in school, she's kind of gathered some words on her own and learned more words. And now she helps and she reads to Mama.
So this particular model, the teacher demonstrated with her Think Aloud what the first couple of important events were in this particular text. Next, the students were to follow that model and complete the flow chart with the remaining events from the text. Her model was integral to the success for students when they are going to be expected to summarize the text on their own. This next example of a big idea is using exemplars. These two examples I'm going to share with you from math lessons display how a teacher uses exemplars in two ways. This first example shows how the teacher utilized an exemplar at the beginning of the lesson to set up what the model of proficiency looked and sounded like. In this lesson, for this example of an exemplar, the teacher utilized this exemplar at the beginning of the lesson, and students and teacher utilized it throughout the lesson while students were checking their own work against the exemplar when they were solving the task. Using exemplars in either of these two ways allows students the opportunity to see the models represented correctly. That takes us to our third big idea, which is communicating success criteria. For these virtual lesson examples, the teacher included this success criteria in the lesson so the students would know the expectations for the work performance to be proficient. She also included these examples of criteria in the Google Classroom folder for students to reference. Let's pause for a moment and consider the following question. Why do you think these three elements or three big ideas are critical in a virtual setting? And what if one was missing? Pause for a moment and jot some ideas. If one of these elements was missing from a virtual setting, students may not understand fully what proficiency is to look and sound like to be successful. It also might hinder them from mastering the standard or objective. Also, without providing models, exemplars, and criteria, students may not exercise the different types of thinking that are needed to become successful problem solvers. As we reflect and connect, I want you to consider the following two questions. How might you adjust your current visual learning practices to include modeling, examples, and exemplars in a virtual setting? And what action steps will you take to ensure you transfer this practice? Thank you so much for joining me today in this exploration of utilizing models and exemplars in a virtual learning space. You can find more resources on our website, niet.org, and we'll be releasing more tutorials and webinars soon. Please reach out to us on social media if you have any questions.